I just finished LifeForce by Tony Robbins in collaboration with Peter Diamandis and Robert Hariri, amongst other people that are showcased or mentioned in the book. And I want to share with you how it has changed my life or not. The book is organized in a really interesting manner. Typically, they attacked some sort of like innovation in the health ecosystem, and they give you a bunch of examples to illustrate them and how you can get access to those type of innovations, treatments, supplements, whatever it is. So it does have tons of cases on how this, treatments or whatever it is work, and actually the impact that they can have. So I do find that very informative, and it's a very easy to follow in terms of a structure. You can actually jump from one chapter to the other as they are not necessarily connected. Each one typically focuses on a single thing. There are a few no surprises on this book, meaning that for sure they do mention things like taking care of your food intake, not eating sugar, not eating carbs, the benefits of things like intermittent fasting or caloric restriction. So there are a few things that, if you're typically into a healthy lifestyle or reading this type of content, for sure you've known or you've heard before. So there are a few chapters where you're like, okay, I already knew this. It's just great to obviously get a reinforcement and also get some more scientific details, or even some, success stories around those different habits that most of us we already have. Now, there are a couple of things that really caught my attention while reading this book, and those are peptides and stem cells. Actually, the beginning of the book is just a lot on stem cells. I had heard about stem cells, but I didn't know how powerful a stem cells treatment could be. They talk about how you could cure a stroke or some chronic pain. It's really interesting. The book is full with success stories, full of them, which is great, and full of scientific research and information to kind of, feed the case for it. So I thought that was very interesting. And the second thing that really caught my attention was peptides. I had heard of peptides. Ben Greenfield has mentioned peptides a lot of times, and he's one of the people that I typically listen to, or I also have his book. And they talk a lot about peptides. I honestly didn't know it was kind of easy to get them, and it is easy to get them. But it's not that easy to source good quality peptides. And something that I missed a little bit on this book is that apart from, going to their own resources, their own clinics, they mention things like Fountain of Life or LifeForce, again, products, their own products. They don't necessarily give you a recommendation on how to or where to go to find these peptides or some of the supplements that they mention during the book as well. And I would say that is probably one of the main flaws. They don't necessarily tell you should look for this brand or for these products. They only focus on what they have. And I get it. Why would you sell another brand when you have one? But their brands in this case, they come with a premium. They're freaking expensive. So I think it would be amazing to make some of these recommendations a little bit more affordable for most people. And if you haven't read Lifespan by David Sinclair, this book is actually a great summary of it. If you were to condense Lifespan in 15 pages, you find those 15 pages here. Actually, I would say it was probably my favorite part of the book. And I had already read Lifespan by David Sinclair, but for whatever reason, the information is so well condensed in here that I really liked it. So they talk a lot about NAD and NMN and how to, be forever young. And obviously, I think that, most people nowadays, we all want to, grow older but feel better and almost feel like we're growing younger. And this book condenses our information in a way that is super effective, and they do recommend to tackle things like NAD, NMN, and metformin, and things like intermittent fasting and calorie restriction, which is something that David Sinclair, who is mentioned in the book, as well recommends in Lifespan. So if you haven't read that book by David Sinclair, you actually can find a great summary here. And remember, this book actually is free. You only need to pay for shipping, which I think is amazing. I paid I think it was $10. Retail price of the book is $33. So, the fact that they are selling this for free on the website, I think is pretty awesome. But again, coming back to the content, everything about, NAD, NMN, metformin, caloric restriction, intermittent fasting, really well condensed here, and one of the key recommendations that they give on the book as well. And at the end, they talk about the power of your mindset. This is a book by Tony Robbins, so clearly mindset is going to be included. Although I do believe, right, mindset is probably one of the most important things in life. So they talk about the power of mindset, and they give you a 7-step action plan. So what are the 7 things that you should do immediately in order to transform your life, following the recommendations on this book, LifeForce? And these are the 7 recommendations. I'll actually read them to you and give you a summary of each. Number 1, decide and get the information that you need. They talk about all these tests that you can take to understand your body. And honestly, although some of them are super expensive, you can find a way to get some of those tests actually, sometimes even at home in a way that can be more affordable. For example, a couple of things that I've done since I read the book was a mineral test, and it's done through a hair test, and I literally just sent the sample and I got the results and I got a consultation, and that was $300 with consultation included and the results and everything, which was great. I've also ordered a blood test to check my hormonal levels, and that is around $75. It's actually not that bad at all. And I recently signed up for Viome to get all my gut health, all my biological age, everything done. So I think that is going to be very cool, and I subscribe to it. So they are going to actually send me all the supplements, and it's $180 a month. If you want to go for Fountain of Life, which is the clinic that Tony Robbins kind of invested in, and they do a full-on scan on absolutely everything that you can imagine. I actually called to figure this out and to really understand what is the value, and they can even detect cancer stage 0, which is amazing. I mean, if you want kind of a first-class preventive medicine test, that is definitely the place, but it comes at a price tag of $11,000 for half day of full tests done. So that is definitely not affordable for a lot of people. But I think that if you research a little bit, you can probably get your way around and find some. Obviously, it's not going to be at the same level. But overall, if I take something of this, is do what you can to understand how your body is and be as preventive as you can be. And that is the take that that is what I take out of all this. The step 2 is review your education. Again, educate yourself, ask yourself questions, do your research, and understand all these new things that are coming up. Step 3, maximize your energy and regeneration. And they talk about the Vitality Pharmacy, which is basically all the supplements that you can take to accelerate your energy and your strength and whatnot. They also talk about hormone optimization therapy, the impact that hormones have on our body and how we should take better care of them, peptides, and again supplements all the way. Step 4, create a plan for sleep and living pain-free. They put a lot of emphasis on sleeping and the quality of it. They talk about how you can sleep with a device, with an AI device. They talk about, a lot of different techniques, doing some sort of PEMF. Again, things that might be a little bit expensive. I have an Oura Ring and I highly recommend it. Obviously not as sophisticated as all the things that they mention, but I would say it's a great affordable step to understand how you sleep and to take action on it. And by the way, I have a video on the Oura Ring here. Step 5, devise your maximum longevity lifestyle. So these are things like, are you eating whole foods, live foods? Are you eating no sugar at all? Actually, like, are you literally no sugar, no processed foods whatsoever? Doing some caloric restriction here and there. Also, they talk about breathing patterns. How do you breathe? And they talk about the 1-4-2 breathing pattern, which is for every second that you're breathing in, you take 4 seconds to hold it, or 4x to hold it, and 2 to exhale. So let's say you breathe in for 5 seconds, you hold it for 20 seconds, and you exhale for 10 seconds. And they talk about doing that a few times a day. And again, overall, just change your food environment, right? Make sure that you're surrounded by healthy, whole foods, a lot of veggies, and good protein. And they also talk about heat and cold. Again, cold exposure is something that comes up here a lot as well. Step 6, movement is life. So again, get your exercise on. I think that is very clear. And step 7, take control of your mind. Again, your mindset as a great ally, right? It's probably one of the most important things. If you don't have the right mindset, where are you going to go? And they talk about priming your mindset. It's a 10-minute routine that Tony Robbins recommends. I made a little 1-minute video here to make your life a little bit easier, so you don't have to go through all this. You can also find it on tonyrobbins.com/priming if you want to get the full story there. And basically, that is the book. That is a summary of it. Is it worth it? I think it's worth it. I think it makes you think a lot about your lifestyle, things that you can do that maybe you're not doing simply because you haven't been advised to, or you haven't been aware of doing certain things. But overall, remember, this is a selling machine. Like, every page there is a mention to one of their clinics or one of their products or one of their doctors or whatever it is. So just keep that in mind. The information is great. Again, from my point of view, I think they're missing how to source a lot of the things that they recommend, because sometimes you cannot pay $100 for a bottle with 30 capsules, and there are a lot of different options at different prices. But how do you know what is a good quality or not? I think it would have been amazing to add a little bit of information on that. But again, super insightful book, and a great read overall. If you don't have time to read it, hopefully this summary is good enough for you. And remember, definitely research on stem cells, on peptides, on NAD, NMN, metformin, and definitely do a little bit of research on tests that you can do for your blood tests, mineral tests, and hormonal tests. I would say those are especially hormonal tests is something that they highly recommend. And after reading and researching on it, I found out why it's so important. Like, hormones play an amazing, incredible role in our life, from your mood to your sex drive to how you can focus, how your skin is. It's just they regulate our bodies. So I highly recommend that you continue researching that. Hopefully this review was interesting for you, and it also helps you decide if you want to buy the book or just get this summary and research on your own.